Sometimes I like to think of myself as a hacker, not the kind that breaks into Swiss banks or deciphers secret government codes, although, to be honest, that sounds pretty cool, but a hacker of my own mind. A guy who has decided he's not going to let his brain, with its random and sometimes downright ridiculous thoughts, dictate how he lives his life. No, sir, I'm the one in charge here. And the mind? It's pure chaos. It tells you to do the weirdest things without your permission. You're chilling, at peace, and suddenly your brain goes, "Remember that time in high school when you said something stupid and everyone laughed at you?" Boom! Now you're in the grocery store, buying bananas, feeling like an idiot over something that happened 10 years ago. Why, brain? Why are you like this? The trick is to hack all of this, not by trying to stop these thoughts from showing up, because that's like telling a cat not to knock over a glass of water sitting on the table. It's going to do it. The key is to observe your thoughts. Understand that you are not your thoughts. You're the one watching them. As Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our opinion of them. That's where the magic happens, the moment you realize that you get to decide what to do with what you think. But here's where the real hack happens, in the space between stimulus and response. That tiny instant that seems insignificant, but is actually everything. Right there, in that millisecond between what happens to you and what you decide to do about it, is the key to hacking your mind. That's the moment where, instead of reacting like a robot programmed by impulses, the hacker kicks in, analyzes, reviews the options, and makes the best move. Because if we react without thinking, we're at the mercy of our emotions and conditioning. But if we give ourselves that space, even just a little, we can consciously choose what to do. It's like when you feel like procrastinating and binge-watching a series instead of working on your goals. That's when my inner hacker shows up and says, "Dude, this is a trap your own mind is setting. Don't fall for it." And yeah, sometimes I fall for it, because I'm human and Netflix knows exactly how to hook us with those ruthless cliffhangers. But every time I manage to resist and act like the person I want to be, instead of a slave to my impulses, I feel like I'm winning. Marcus Aurelius, another high-level Stoic, said, "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought." In other words, if you keep focusing on the negative, you become that. If you decide to focus on what you can control, on improving, on making conscious decisions, your mind starts shaping itself that way. It's like going to the gym, but for your brain. And what about emotions? Because here comes the real challenge. Sometimes you feel awful and don't even know why. But this is where the Stoic hack comes in. Instead of reacting as if everything you feel is a command you must obey, you can observe it and decide what to do with it. As Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And that's the trick. That space is the playground of the mental hacker, that sacred moment where it's decided who's in charge, your impulse or your consciousness. If you learn to expand that space, even just a little, little by little, you become the master of your mind instead of its prisoner. So what do I do when I feel bad, anxious, sad, or when life throws an unexpected punch? I remind myself that I am a hacker of my own mind. It doesn't mean ignoring what I feel. It means deciding how I want to interpret it. If I miss a train, I can say my life is a disaster, or I can say more time to listen to an interesting podcast. If someone criticizes me, I can assume I'm a failure, or I can see it as useful information to improve. It all comes down to the story I tell myself. So there you have it, a little mental hack for everyday life. It's not about becoming an emotionless robot. It's about training your mind to work for you instead of against you. Because in the end, as Buddha said, what we are is the result of what we have thought. If you enjoyed this reflection, subscribe to this channel, give the video a like, but most importantly, comment on what you think about these topics and situations. What would you do? Thanks for being here, and see you next time.